In today's video, I'm going to be sharing some reflections from my third year as a musical theatre student at London Studio Centre, specifically the first half of my third year. If you're new, welcome to my channel. I'm Millie and welcome to the Performing Arts in Me. I talk about musical theatre, drama school, dance, all that kind of thing, so if you're interested then please subscribe. And as I mentioned, I am a third year musical theatre student at London Studio Centre. I did a foundation year before LSC and then I'm in my third year at LSC, and I think I've done reflection videos termly since my foundation year, but so far in third year I don't think I've done any reflection videos, like termly reflection videos, so I think it's a bit overdue. So rather than doing one for term 1 when it's already the end of March and term 1 finished in December, I'm going to do one now from September to like around February half term kind of time, and then I'll do some reflection videos on the later stuff later. But today's video I'm going to be talking about the first half of my third year, or approximately the first half of my third year, which is from September to around February half term time. So in this time period, what did third year look like for us? So we did have assessments in this time period. We had some assessments before Christmas, which sounds like, you know, quite a way into the term, but actually when we start back in September, we only have 10 weeks in that. We have 5 weeks, then half term, and then 5 weeks. So we have about 10 weeks, and assessments are normally in week 9, so we can get feedback in week 10. So it actually doesn't feel like that long to prepare for assessments. Yeah, so I literally had to go and get my phone to check because it was so long ago. But we had a couple of assessments around that time period, and that was our ballet assessment and our dance for musical theatre assessment. So ballet assessment is what it says on the tin, it's a ballet assessment. Dance for MT assessment involved jazz and also commercial, or like hip hop commercial, kind of that sort of world. And that was actually the first time that we've had to be assessed in hip hop or commercial, or like that kind of realm. I've been assessed previously on hip hop slash commercial because I picked it as an option in first year and in second year. For some people in my year group it was completely new to them. I thought it was quite interesting that the course is structured that way, that you don't have to have taken it. I think it maybe would have been better if it had been introduced a little bit earlier in the curriculum if we're going to be assessing it in third year, because third year assessments go towards your final classification of your degree, so it seems a bit odd to introduce a new subject at that point. But yeah, I only made up part of our dance for MT assessment, but it was in there. And then we had some more assessments. We had a singing assessment, an acting assessment, and a harmony assessment, which were between Christmas holidays and February half term. I think it was probably around like the start of February kind of time. Harmony assessment, so there was some kind of, I don't know what, flu virus illness going around in the MT pathway. There was something going around the time of our singing, acting and harmony assessments. So for my harmony assessment, I was ill on the day. I didn't choose to defer it, so I went in to do part of my harmony assessment. I took the day off apart from for the harmony assessment. So I went in for the harmony assessment and I did half of my harmony assessment, because we have to do 2 things for our harmony assessment. We had to do a quartet and either a duet or a trio, and one of the girls in my quartet had deferred, so I only did like half of my assessment at that point, and I think we did the other half the week after or something. So yeah, which was potentially better for me because I probably shouldn't have been trying to do my harmony assessment. I was quite ill. Yeah, not sure it was the best decision I ever made, but I do understand why I made that decision to go in and do it. Anyway, so that was our harmony assessment. We also had singing assessments. I think this is the best a singing assessment has gone for me. I didn't feel as prepared because again it was around the time that I'd been ill. The singing assessments were actually pushed to the week later, so I was better by the time I came to do the singing assessment, but obviously I'd had like nearly a week of being ill, and as part of that, for some days I wasn't able to sing properly. So I didn't necessarily feel as prepared as I would have liked to because I hadn't been rehearsing the songs as much, but I do feel like it was one of the best assessments I'd done vocally. I'm not sure how good my acting was because, as in like acting through song, because I maybe hadn't practiced that as much as I had last year with my singing assessment, but vocally I felt like it went a lot better. And just in general vocally, like I really feel like I've improved quite a lot since this time last year. I feel like I've definitely improved a lot. I have learnt this year to be able to belt higher because I'm not always trying to be like thick folds. I don't know how to explain this without getting too technical, but basically I feel like I've learnt to belt higher because I'm not thinking of belt as all completely thick and heavy and then like lyrical singing as like light and blah 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 blah. I've learnt that they're on a spectrum, and I've learnt to kind of blend different elements into my belt sound to be able to belt higher. That's probably the best way I can explain it without getting too technical. If there's any still trained people out there, I'd like to add choré into my belt. Carrying on, acting assessment, we had to do a duologue. I really found it useful working on this duologue. We got some like one-to-one coaching with the teacher, well 2-to-1 because it's a duologue. So the two of us doing the duologue with our acting teacher, and I think that really helped me like working on my acting and yeah, like to get some personal feedback and things like that. We've also, our acting lessons this year, prior to our duologues in the first term, I found those really helpful as well. I love acting. Acting's one of my strengths, I would say. Something I'm really interested in doing outside of musical theatre as well. Okay, outside of assessments, cycling back to dance, I feel like my hip-hop commercial skills in the first term improved. Still a lot to work on with hip hop and commercial, but I feel like they improved and I got more confident. Okay, what else have we had? So in the first term we had play project, which wasn't assessed, but it was basically external directors came in and worked with us on putting on a play for which we kind of showed to the other groups. So there were 3 groups, there were about 10 people in each group. I think this was really helpful. It was great getting to work with the director that we had in. We didn't have long to do the project, so it was quite a tight time frame. So it was quite a lot, but it was good, which to be honest probably reflects like rehearsal periods like it went in the industry and things, so it was probably quite good for us to have that experience. Other thing I wanted to talk about is West End workshops. So in 3rd year we've had choreographers coming in and leading West End workshops with us. So some of that's people coming in and teaching show material, some of that's people coming in and teaching their own choreography or like focusing on a specific technique or something like that. We're encouraged to present ourselves as you would for an audition for these workshops, and to start with I was kind of struggling with this because I felt like I didn't want to be too extra and like I didn't used to wear makeup very much, but actually like I got used to it really quickly once I put myself out there and decided, yeah, I'm just gonna go in what I think is most appropriate for this show that we've got the workshop for out of what I have in my wardrobe, and I'm gonna style my hair and I'm gonna put my makeup on. Once I did that for one show, it was easier to do that for the future ones. I think I just kind of got over myself and did it, and then it was fine. And was I perfectly presented for every single West End workshop after that? No, but I wasn't feeling as self-conscious about having to put together an audition outfit. We also had Sondheim project, which actually ran from the beginning of January till March, so like the 2nd term, but I'm going to talk about it in this reflection video anyway. So again we had external directors coming in. They were 2 of the directors from the play project, and my group were also working with an external MD, musical director, and basically it was like taking a selection of Sondheim songs. Stephen Sondheim, if you didn't know, is a very famous musical theatre composer. So it's taking a selection of his songs and then we basically presented them in a concept or like a different storyline. So it wasn't like following the storyline of the musical, it was following a concept that the director had come up with for this project. And I think this was really useful because I feel like a lot of what we do is focused on, you know, like storylines and like investigating what the character does in the text and blah 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 blah. But a lot of this work with my project that I was involved with was firstly ensemble based, and secondly you might not be in one of the songs but you were still in the atmosphere, or like you were still on stage contributing to the overall piece. So you had to find a narrative for your character whilst you weren't necessarily speaking text, or you had to like physicalize things that were supporting the story, and I think it was just interesting to do something a bit more abstract maybe. I also ran a rehearsal for that because I was the vocal captain. I think reflecting back on that experience of leading the rehearsal, firstly it was great to have an experience and I'm really grateful that I got to be the vocal captain for the piece, but secondly I think looking back on it I could have been and should have been more forward and more like, this is what we're gonna do guys, let's do it, and like let's get on with it, because I think I was perhaps a little bit too concerned about what other people might think to want to take a lead in that way. So that's something that I've learned for future, and hopefully I'll get another opportunity to be a vocal captain or some other type of captain, and I will hopefully be able to take that lesson and apply it to future opportunities if I have them, which will be good. The final thing I'm going to talk about, I'm only going to mention very briefly, which is dissertation, which was quite a big thing. That was actually due a couple of weeks after February half term as well, but I'm just going to briefly mention it here. I'm not going to go into loads of detail. It was quite a big project because it's our dissertation. Advice for any people going into 3rd year: start your dissertation earlier and like start regularly working on it earlier. I did start like reading some stuff for my dissertation in the 1st term. Hadn't really done much by the time I got to Christmas holidays, so spent a lot of Christmas holidays doing research, etc. But it's done, and I did learn some very valuable things from my dissertation, which I'm hopefully going to make a video in the future on the topic of my dissertation to share some of my experiences and the things I found with you, so keep an eye out for that video. And that is going to be it for today's video. I'm sure there's loads more I can reflect on. If you've enjoyed it and you've got this far, I'd really appreciate you subscribing. I'm trying to grow my channel and that would very much help me. I'm planning to go back to weekly uploads, although I might be regretting that decision soon, because so this week I have Agent Week rehearsals. Agent Week is where agents come in and watch us do like a mini showcase, so that's Agent Week. So I have Agent Week rehearsals this week, next week is Agent Week, then I have a week off for Easter, and then we are into show work for our third year musical. So I don't know whether I will be regretting going back to weekly uploads, but that is the plan. I'm going to go back to weekly uploads. So yeah, please subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss my videos, and thank you very much for watching. Bye!